Well, I have some feelings and thoughts about this one. Welcome back to the James Ramblin Reviews for yet another video on the channel, and in today's video I'm actually going to be talking about Squid Game Season 3, and I'll preface this by saying that I am a bit late to the party. It's been a couple weeks since the third season came out, but I got around to watching it and I thought that there was something in here where I could actually talk about it, give my honest opinion on the series as a whole and the season as a whole, because there is a few things I want to talk about. And before we get into how I feel about it, I'll give you a bit of context, and also this will be a spoiler review because it's been out for a bit of a while now, I guess you could say that, and it's better for me to explain how I feel with the spoilers so the video comes off a bit more like I actually know what I'm talking about, if you know what I mean. So there is all of that. So what you need to know is I enjoyed the first season of Squid Game. Season 2 wasn't very perfect. It had a rocky start. There's a few episodes in there I was like, okay, this takes too long to get going. So there is all of that, and I'll link down below my review of Squid Game Season 2. So what you need to know about Season 3 is that it's pretty much the follow-up of Season 2. However, it's kind of like it takes place literally right after, Season 2 ends with the big cliffhanger and everything like that. And in this season, what this season is all about is trying to wrap up the entire Squid Game show. You're going to have all these deaths and all these characters. Everything's going to come to a finale. There is only 6 episodes. And what I will say is I actually started it last week. And I'll say the first 2 or 3 episodes are really, really good. I think they are really decent because it actually jumps straight into the action, and you've got the hide and seek episode where there's like the knives and the keys and they all have to hide in this children's playroom sort of thing. And I like that everything is on the line. The stakes have been as high as they ever could have been. But what I will say is that after that episode 3, I don't really know if I think that this is a really solid way to finish off a series like this. There is a lot of stuff where they could have actually wrapped up a storyline in here. Like, for example, what I will say is the detective cop from season 1, he tries to go onto the island. They take a while to get going there, and they're trying to figure out that there's something suspicious about the captain on the ship and how he's working with the people that run the Squid Games and all of that stuff, where it just kind of doesn't know how to finish everything off. And as soon as you get to like the last minutes of the last episode, the detective cop guy tries to get the answers from his brother that shot him in the first season, and you don't really get the answers that you're looking for. So there is that. Also, the whole thing with the baby, in the third episode, where in that kind of episode towards the second or third episode where you've got the baby and the baby is born and how it's CGI and all of that, like, I think the baby was it could have been an interesting concept, but the way they did it, it just wasn't the most mind-blowing, and I just didn't really think it was interesting at all, because I will be honest that the final game in Squid Game, it's called Squid Game. The thing about it was they were trying to make up the idea that you can choose to eliminate whoever you want, but then they're procrastinating and trying to compromise all these ideas. They were trying to, do these things, and they're like, oh, we got to eliminate it this way, got to eliminate it that way. They couldn't make their minds up, so they end up all just dying. And then obviously Gi-hun, the main character, right, he actually jumps off of that big bit of the Squid Game, and he sacrifices himself so the baby can live. So I don't mind that the main character had to die. It's just they kind of messed around for a while there, and I didn't really like that kind of thing. But what I will say as well, though, is, I know I'm jumping about, but this is kind of just how I feel about the season, right, as well, that I do enjoy the jump rope game, because I felt like that was kind of an interesting spin on red light, green light, because you've got the 2 big dolls, there's like a green, a red light going off and all of that. Like, I like that concept and how they're all going to jump and things like that. But there is also some points where you can immediately tell that some of the stuff in here is very predictable. Like, a lot of these characters, you knew they were going to die, you know how it's going to end and things, and I've had a feeling, for me, I thought that, Gi-hun was going to win the games again, but a part of me was like, you know what, why would they want to kill this baby? So they just let the baby win the games. And so there is all of that. So I am very, very mixed on the season as a whole. It wasn't the most satisfying conclusion to a 4 or 5 year long saga. And another thing on top of this is that you've got a scene in the final episode that I wasn't the most crazy about. And what I mean by this is that Squid Game is coming to America now, and they're gonna be milking the franchise, and they're gonna be turning it into an American remake where, there's a scene where you've got Kate Blanchett, right? And she's pretending to be the guy that was at the train station in the first season, and she's pretending to be the person that recruits everybody into the Squid Games, and that was kind of like a bit random, and the accent was weird and things like that. And you could also say as well that the VIPs in this season, they don't really do a lot. And the thing with the pink soldiers and things like that, and there's there is so much going on in this season. Like, there's at least 2 or 3 storylines, but they don't find a way to wrap everything up in a satisfying way. Like, if I was somebody that was kind of like doing this series, I would have gave them 3 or 4 more episodes, 2 or 3 more episodes to wrap everything up. Or just what I would have also done as well, just give them 2 or 3 more episodes to wrap everything up, and actually just make season 2 one big thing to watch. It would have been better that way, instead of just dragging it out until like later on in the year, because it was just kind of like, oh man, they couldn't really find a way to wrap everything up in a satisfying way. There's ideas on paper here that kind of work, but overall I just wasn't like the biggest fan of season 3. As much as I enjoyed the first 3 episodes, I was really conflicted as I was watching more and more episodes. Like, okay, where's this gonna go? Oh, it's going that way. Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's my honest review of Squid Game Season 3. Hope you enjoyed this review. This is the best way I can describe how I felt about the season as a whole. So stay tuned for more reviews like this one, and that's been me talking about Squid Game Season 3. Bye, bye, bye.